All right, everybody, we are live. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. How's everybody doing?
Great, great. Walaikum
Walaikum salam. Doing great.
Good, good, good. All right. So, wanted to welcome you, everyone, and also welcome everyone that is out there in Facebook land. They can also see this on our YouTube channel, Bossy Jabby Society, right on YouTube. Wa alaikum salam. I love it. I love it. I love it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Gabriel, any questions at any point during the chat, just put them in the chat and we will pose them to the speakers so that you guys get your questions answered. And just to tee it up, the name of this is, as you can see, Balance Your Business Finances. And we're going to be talking to Sharima. She's an accountant. We're going to be talking to Walida. She's an accountant, tax professional, and business consultant. So we'll be talking with her. And we'll also be talking to Sadia, who does budgeting for personal, right? So I'm excited to actually talk. I keep saying Sadia. Sadio. Listen, you gotta,
I'm called Sadio, Sadia. It's fine. It's
but we're gonna
fine.
get it right because we're not messing up. I'm not messing
the
up my
same thing,
sister's name.
but I do appreciate it. Our names are very important to us, so I do appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
You will be called by, your mother. Your mother made sure, you know what I mean? Your mother, father, made sure, mashallah. So Sadio, she will tackle, the budgeting and just personal finance. So I'm excited about that. We did a challenge not too long ago. So when I heard you say it on Clubhouse, I was like, girl, we got to get you, in here because that's very important. So welcome, Amber. Hey, darling. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm doing good. How are you guys doing? It's nice to see your bright, smiling faces on here. It's like freezing cold out here. I'm in Calgary, but keeping warm and excited to have you guys on.
This is so exciting. My sister just moved to Calgary, so that's kind of exciting.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Nice. MashaAllah.
All right, you guys. So we're going to post our first question for those that are out in audience land, whether you are on YouTube or you are on Facebook. We can see you guys chat in the comments. So just let us know if you're there and if you have a question. So we wanted to, talk about, the importance of getting your finances in order, both personally and professionally. So just to tee this up, why we invited you guys. So we're working with a group of 30 plus women. I think there are 37 total in the group from all over the world, right? And basically they are building their businesses from the ground up in some cases. And in some cases, we have women that have been in business for, 3+ years, but they may not be handling their finances correctly with regards to their business. They may even be doing a no, which is mixing their, personal and business finance together. So we wanted to create a space to help them. That's one, and two, also to help them, create a space where their business is, generating, enough income for them to be able to save. So that's where you come in, Sadio, right? So, just excited about that. Wa alaikum salam, wa alaikum salam. All right. So the first question is, which one should we tackle first, right? Should we tackle the personal or should we tackle the, professional? And either one of you can answer it, inshallah.
Walida, you want to start?
Okay. I'm sure you got a lot to add to it.
Yes.
So it's not like everybody and how you doing out there. Okay, so the thing is with I'm just gonna get right into it because this is one of my pet peeves actually.
Listen, sis, go. Don't worry about hurting anybody's feelings.
Listen, first I want you to remember, ditch the shoebox. You gotta ditch the shoebox thinking. I started like that too. You put your receipts in the shoebox and you kind of like got that over there and you go out to eat. You meet up with somebody, for a business meeting. You kind of put that receipt and you kind of put a little divider between it. You're like, this is over here. Okay. The reason why you don't want to do that, I'll just give you one good reason is that when it's really time to account for all of these expenses, what happens is you'll get confused. You're gonna trust me. I see it all the time. Oh, I got it. But then when it's time to really put these things into play, well, I noticed you have some you went to IHOP, you went to some, oh yeah, that was with my kids. Well, that, and I'm like, okay, what was this for business? Well, you can write it off as business. Like, no. We need to have a business purpose. It needs to be a business purpose because the IRS looks at that, you went to IHOP, that's nice and all, but was there a business purpose for going to IHOP? And I also can help show you how, I've done this with some of the small business women I deal with. Like, I can turn it into a business purpose. I surely can. But we can't keep doing this for every receipt.
Listen, BUNHD LLC was discussed over this table.
Like, come on now. You went too many times to IHOP. Been to the Cheesecake Factory. I got you, but we've got to make these business purposes so that you don't get red flagged at IRS, because IRS they're just looking to, they're not nice. Okay. So I want to help you fight back with them. Fight them back. So this is not the way to do it. So yes, keeping the business and the personal is very important for that reason. When it comes time to really putting these things, substantiating your expenses for your business. So I'm going to shut up. Go ahead, Sadio, right?
Yes, it's Sadio, yes. So for me, I would say to tackle the personal first, because I think you kind of have to learn how to handle your own money first, even then transfer those skills that you learn and then put it towards your business, right? So I agree with Walida in the sense that the first step to any budget is you really do need to organize your finances. You kind of have to know where everything is, whether it be your taxes, what checkings accounts do you have, what savings account do you have, what money do you have underneath the mattress, whatever it is. You just need to be aware of where everything is, and getting organized is really going to help you set that budget up, right? But before even starting with the getting organized, which is so important, I think you have to ask yourself, why is it that you want to set up this personal finance journey? And I think a lot of life coaches always bring this up, kind of discovering your why. Your why is very important, right? And a lot of us, I don't know all the sisters here personally, but for a lot of us, being a mother is a motivator for us. I'm a solo mom. And for me, getting really into my personal finances and holding and taking real control of it was for the benefit of my child. And I wanted to ensure that the life that I had and the things that I experienced and the relationships that I saw with money and developed with money were not going to translate that for her or generations to come, right? So when you do establish your why, it is very personal, and budgeting is a personal, your budget will be a reflection of yourself. So how dedicated you become, how focused you are, how diligent you are as a person will be reflected in that budget. So I would say even before getting organized and getting on the personal, because I think the personal is much more important than the business side first, because you really do need to know yourself and what your strengths are, right? So just to reiterate, I think first and foremost, you need to really discover what your why is, and then you need to start organizing your finances. And I think we can touch upon a little bit more. I can continue with the personal side of it, but if anyone has anything to add to that, you can go ahead.
I'd like to hear from Sharima.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Walaikum salam, darling.
I joined a few minutes late. I was rushing home with the kids. I want to kind of piggyback off what Sadio and Walida said. I think starting with, introducing myself. I'm an accountant. I have been working with small businesses and nonprofits for probably since high school, so probably almost 15 years. I enjoy helping entrepreneurs find out their profitability in their business and learn how to organize their finances so it's not so tedious or a headache. So it's funny because I'm an accountant and have been an accountant for years. This year was the first time I personally budgeted for myself month after month and was very diligent about it, and was very just stuck to it. And I did that, like Sadia said, because I had a why. I had a goal. My personal goal was to leave my full-time job to pursue my business, and for me to save up some money as an emergency fund to start my business. So those two journeys of personal budgeting and finance and career accounting are two totally different things. I agree with Sadio in starting your personal first. If your goal is to get your finances together, I think starting with your personal why and starting with your personal finances will get you in the habit of doing it, and doing it for your business will make it a little more seamless because your business is your why in a sense. So you can have personal goals, whether it's to pay off debt, whether it's to save or buy a home. But most entrepreneurs, your business is your baby. So that's a big piece of your why. But I think developing those habits of budgeting, of discipline, of being diligent and remembering your why and sacrifice really can help in your business as well.
MashaAllah. And that's beautiful because that perfectly segues into the next question that we have for you guys. That's really important, is how do we separate our personal from our business, and where do we begin if we already have both?
Go ahead.
Separating your personal from your business, if you already have both, is to look at what you're spending. I suggest either printing out your bank statements or your credit card statements, or looking at your PayPal and physically like highlighting or writing down or putting in an Excel spreadsheet or a tracker app, what did I spend on my business? So if you want to start the journey of tracking all your money and just seeing where your money's going and where you could shift money from personal to business or vice versa, looking from transaction to transaction, from the IHOP to the gas station to Target to Amazon, looking at all those things and tallying up, what did I spend on my business? What did I spend on my personal? And I guarantee there is something in that process or multiple things where you'll say, I did not need this. I did not need this. And that could have went this way. Or if you tally up, most people is food. With being on quarantine, maybe it's Amazon. Looking at those things and saying, I cannot believe I spent $500 last month on food. So actually sitting down and going through your bank or your credit cards or PayPal and looking at each transaction and tallying it up is a good place to start.
I just wanted to add something there, just from the personal side, just for, myself, and in working with women that are transitioning, they're just getting into business, and all they have right now, is that personal bank account, and they're just beginning, to move into that, business account. Even, just thinking about, that incorporating your business, that money that you paid, to formulate your business is a tax write-off. That, okay, you use that as personal money, but that has to come back to you in some way. So, starting from there, once you incorporate, you get that, EIN number, make sure, or that tax ID number, make sure that you are going and you're opening up that bank account. And Gabriel writes, she's in the comments here, and she said, I created a business bank account to separate from my personal account. She added something else, but it's actually one of the questions that we're going to ask later. We're going to ask about resources that you can use to separate. But the value add that I wanted to, just add with relation to like the personal and the business, you have to be, and just this actually highlights what Sadio said, is you have to be a good steward of the money that you've been given on the personal side that may come from like your, maybe your husband, if you're, you're a wife, or, maybe from your job or whatever. You have to be a good steward of that. Once you prove that you're a good steward of that, you are definitely going to be a good steward of it, within your business. And one of the things that you see is people are not good with their personal finances, and then they move into their business and they're making all of this money. And, 5-10 years down the line, they have absolutely nothing nothing to show for it. And it's because they those bad habits from the personal side they brought into their business, and they're spending the business money as if it's personal money. I see a lot of that. That money in PayPal is almost like it's not real money. That's real money. Every day, if you are, a business that gets PayPal money every single day, transfer that PayPal money to your bank account and stop playing around, right? So would love to hear from Walida, Sadio about, just talking about, separating that business and personal, inshallah.
I think for me personally, I agree with you in the sense that it does transfer those skills, right? Because you've built up, for example, Sharima, you were talking about creating the expense tracker, because creating expense tracker, your spending logs are very, very important to seeing what are those spending categories, right? That can also work towards your business, right? And what I like to do is, every single morning when I wake up, the first thing that I do is, by the way, when I went to bed, I knew what was in my bank account, and then I wake up and I check again just to make sure everything is still in order, and go through those my spending tracker, and making sure that everything is up to date, because I want to be as diligent as possible, right? And doing your monthly closeout is also important to your personal as it is to your business, because you want to look at it and say, you know what, I've been spending this much. This is taking up too much of my category. Like it's too big of a category to continue to spend on. I need to review. I need to do research. I need to see if I can lessen this amount, whatever it is, right? So you have to constantly review your expense trackers. You also have to be on top of those bills, right? Again, connecting back to the personal. If you're not organized with noting which bills you have that are automated, which ones that you need to pay by cash, whatever it may be, having that bill calendar is also very important. It's important for your personal as it is for your business, right? For me personally, I am a digital person. I'm a millennial, so everything's online, but I do prefer doing pen and paper. I feel much better with the visual representation. So you may want to start out with Excel. For some of us, I'm sorry, accountants, but Excel is a little scary for me sometimes. I'm on Google Sheets now, but just using pen and paper sometimes really just helps map a visual picture for yourself. And I find that also to be a lot helpful. So make sure you have an expense tracker, make sure you're reviewing that spending, and make sure that you have a monthly closeout and you're reviewing where that money is going and deciding if it's going to continue to go there. Can I decrease this? What can I do? What can I move around? And the monthly closeout is really important for that.
So just to kind of piggyback off of Sadio, I was going to say just that, like, you just want to make sure that every month, first of all, you need to be intentional. You need to be very intentional about what you're going to spend on. And I don't like to use the word spend. I like to use the word invest. Why? Because I think it kind of causes some type of emotion in me, like, I'm about to invest this money. I don't give them a box of cereal. My kid's like, really, Mom? I'm like, yeah. We're going to invest in this box of cereal. And I know you guys are all going to eat it before Friday. So guess what? And I'm really intentional about, like, just having that conversation about money. That too, that kind of keeps us back from wanting to look at our spending habits when we don't want to have that conversation. We have to have the conversation with our children, with our spouses. We have to talk about it. Like, listen, we want to do some things. We're going to have to cut back on this, or we're going to have to, don't you want this? Your teenage kids, like they have all these big dreams about having a car and all this other kind of stuff. I don't know. But, it's like, but you want that. You have to work towards it, and you have to look at what you're spending. Look at, you're investing in. What is it you're doing, okay, on a day-to-day or weekly basis that maybe you should not be doing? Start looking at it. In your bank apps, my bank app at the bottom, it tells me the categories. Most bank apps have it. At the bottom, when you go in your mobile app, it will show you, where that money is going to. And I wanted to say that because we're moving towards that cashless society, the cashless society type deal, a lot of things are being digitally, bought. With you buying things digitally, whether you're doing like a DoorDash or all these other kind of Instacart. I don't do all those, but some people do. You can track that stuff. Start tracking it. Now, if you doing DoorDash 4 or 5 times a week, okay, how can we change this? Sit down with the family. We're getting DoorDash, getting fried chicken or whatever. I don't know what you're getting, but can we do this in the house? can we just get some food and make it here? You know, and and it's that mindset shift. Like, you don't have to order out. Oh, it's kind of late. This would be my thing. It's kind of late. You know, I can't cook anything. Nothing's thawed out. Tuna fish. It works. And salad. You know, you have to really like, you just have to be really like, you know, intentional about what you're doing, and just be focused. And the closeout thing, what you were saying, Sadio, is very important, because at the end of the month, I think when I started my journey of really looking at my personal finances, I started to look at, I don't know if you notice, like when you put money, or you spend, you buy something online, right? So you look at your statement, if you go onto your mobile app, and it'll say processing. Okay. So, you know you're doing too much when you got processing. I had to check myself. I'm like, girl, really? Like, wait. Now, all this is processing. Like, are you serious? Like, that's what happens. You just, because you're not catching up with yourself. You know, I don't know about Amazon, because I don't do the Amazon thing, but I know a lot of ladies do the Amazon thing. And so, yeah. So just be more intentional. Have the money conversation with your family. Don't be afraid to do it with your teenage kids. They say they know everything, but they don't. Talk with them, get their input, sit down, I like to make a family mission statement. I did that with my kids. Like, you know, we are servants of Allah. We cannot spendthrift. We can't do it. You know, I know we want this, but do we want, is it a want or is it a need? I had them doing that and they didn't like it, but you know, you gotta do it. Okay, y'all.
Sis, I agree with you so much. First and foremost, you highlighted 3 things that I wanted to mention. The important thing is that it's never too early to start talking about money, because the money relationships that we do have are based on the environments that we grew up, right? So if we show healthy relationships around money and talking about money, that shame about how much you make, what you do, like that will be hopefully erased generations and generations to come, right? And being honest too about your own journey is very important. Children do appreciate honesty. And even as myself as a teacher, sometimes we look at children as becoming rather than beings. So we need to understand that they actually do know and see a lot more than we think that they do, right? And the second point is budgeting sometimes, okay, I said before that you can't make anyone do anything, right? Just like every year we say, okay, by January 11th, I'm going to make sure I'm going to get my fitness. I'm going to lose that weight, or we failed by the 11th day. Apparently that's quitter's day. And I didn't even know January 11th was quitter's day, but we quit. And the reason is because no one can make you do something that you don't want to do, even if you know what the end prize is, right? So I'm always about, in your budget, creating something that rewards you, right? So rewarding yourself. So you mentioned with food, I have a lot of friends, you know, they eat out, they enjoy that. That's when we used to go to restaurants before this whole like panoramic, but they enjoyed that, trying new foods, experiencing new things. They like that, right? So what I said, okay, that's great. Just put it in your budget. If it matters to you so much as that fixed income does, as it matters to you, now connecting it even back to your business, you need to invest in your business too. You need to reward yourself in your milestones and your goals in your business too. If it matters to you, put it in your budget. That's what I say to everyone. Oh, your hair care matters? Put it in your budget. Your nails matter? Put it in your budget. Continue to make place for it. It's not going to, that money's not going to be used next week. It may be used the following week, a month from now. So if food and eating out, you enjoy that, just put it in your budget and make it work for you, right? And again, we cannot separate as Muslims our finances and our faith, because everything in our faith is connected to every aspect of our lives, right? The way we move our money, the way we spend our money, even what we invest in, we need to make sure, right? So being very intentional. And the other thing that I want to encourage, I don't know if everyone on the feed is Muslim, but what I want to encourage is, from everything that you get, ensure that you give back. It's very important that you put charity on your budget, because charity does not take anything away from your budget. If anything, it purifies your wealth. So give from your wealth, give from the money that you get from your business, and continue, because it's going to purify it. So communicate with your kids. If it's important to you, put it in your budget and make sure that you give from your money, because that's so important.
We Jazakallah khair for that. We actually covered that in our business conference that we just did last year. And we actually covered this a multitude of times last year, just talking about, how charity, like you said, can't decrease your money. It actually, increases it, inshallah, right? So we pray that, the Most High blesses us both in this life and the next for charity, and definitely budgeting in. One of the things that we talked about is, 50% for your necessities, and then you're, spending 30%, on those, miscellaneous, things. And then we're using that other 20%, 10% of it, 30% to savings, I'm sorry. And then 10% for your wants, so that entertainment, and then the other 10% just talking about charity. So Walida brought up something that was really, powerful. And that's just talking about, what is the family going to do? So each one of us has our own individual goals, for ourselves. And then what is the family doing? Maybe the business, speaks to the family, or, maybe, the entire plan is for the whole family, maybe to make Hajj or Umrah or something like that. So one of the questions from the audience is, can we discuss our culture's relationship with money? So culture and also religion, and those can be two separate things sometimes, or they can be fused into one. So we can answer that question towards the end. But one of the things that I wanted to add value about is one of you brought up about the debit card, and how Walida talking about, how we pending or processing. Did you know that the average person has between 20 and 30 debit card transactions every single month? Right? When I saw that number, I forget what we were doing research for. When I saw that number, I was like, ooh. And, I did what Sharima said. I took my business, statement, and I took my personal statement, and I said, okay, well, what can I omit? And then what can I, you invest that money into? I saw this post, and I reposted it on my page, where it talked about if you save $25 a day, it equals up to like $8,400 for the year. That's a down payment on a home. I can't afford a home, but you're spending $25 between the Starbucks and that little thing, Amazon. Okay, first of all, Sharima, you brought up Target. Let's talk about Target. First of all, Target is the devil. Okay, Target is the devil. Okay, you cannot go in Target for one thing. Okay, $200, $300 later for the pack of tuna that you went in there for. Okay, so Target, no. Okay, but just speaking to all of your points there, I pray that it is resonating with the group. And the beautiful thing about this conversation is it's in our private Facebook group, and it also be on our YouTube channel. So people will may face this information later and just get so much value from it. And Gabriel said Walmart. I don't know if you got we don't have Walmart, but if you guys got Walmart,
we don't have Target.
Oh, you don't have Target?
We don't have Target either.
Listen,
Target actually failed here. Target
your bank
failed.
account is saying shukran, okay? Your bank account is
Well,
like alhamdulillah.
I'll give you a Target tip. So for those of you who have Target, but even Walmart too, now instead of going inside Target, I have the app on my phone, and as long as you don't order anything that's refrigerated, so like I can't get any, dairy or anything that's refrigerated. Everything else I put in my cart on my Target app, and I do drive up, because I can click the few things I need. And I have gone to Target and picked up 4 things. And I'm like, these are the 4 things I need. I pull up, I do a order on the app. It takes 1 to 2 hours. I pull up, sit in the drive up lane. The Target person comes out, puts it in my trunk for me, and we're on our merry way. So it saves me from myself.
Listen, sis, that's a great tip, man. Everybody make sure you took out your pens, re-record this, whatever you
I'm going to add, if you need
okay?
to return something, return it. Return it. If it still has the tag, return it.
Yeah.
Keep the receipt, return it.
Return
That's
it,
my
yeah.
tip for the day.
That's my thing too. I
Invest
always
that
do a lot
money
of
into
things.
something that'll make you some money, okay? All right.
Okay, now.
MashaAllah. So we want to ask you guys the next question. So what is the biggest mistakes that businesses make with their finances?
I'm going to say this because this happened a couple of days ago. A new startup. Sometimes when you're starting out your business, you're so eager to get that customer, that first customer. You get the first customer. The money comes in. It looks real good. And you're like, I got money now. So y'all want to go over here? Y'all want to go? Let me go on Amazon. I had to tell her, I was like, listen, you got to hold on to that. That has to stay there. And it's so hard. The urge is like, but I got $1,000. I got the first. I'm like, I know, but you got to leave that there just for a minute, because there's some things that got to come out of there. You got expenses. You got things going on. It's not really the true number just yet. Just hold on. You know, that's one thing that I noticed. The fast one to, I got that money in there. I'm ready to go.
I'll say two things that I've noticed, the big things that I've noticed. One, acting like it doesn't, not to say acting like it doesn't exist, but just ignoring the management of it. So you might get it in, and like Walida said, like you just factor it in with like, I have this money now. So it's like, okay, I have, $1,000 in my bank account and I got another 500 for my business. So now I have 1,500, and just operating with that mindset of like, I have this money and this is how I'm going to move with it. And then we get to around, the end of the year or tax time, and not knowing how much your business made, how much you spent in your business. So totally ignoring the management of it until you actually have to. That's one. The second is, just because you make more money doesn't mean you have to spend more money. Just because you had a great month, a great quarter, just because you had this new product that launched that did great, does not mean that you have to spend it. And although you might be reinvesting in your business, or you might be, say, okay, great, I could pay myself a little bit more now. You do not have to spend more because you've gotten this far in your business, spending a certain amount. So just being smart about when you do grow, because, you can make $1 million in your business, but if you have spent 1.2 million, then you're still at a loss. So those would be my two.
I want to add value to what you just said, Sharima, because this is something that, my clients, we had 3 reach $1 million in revenue from their business. That does not mean that they're millionaires. Their businesses, alhamdulillah, made, $1 million, or, we had one do $1.2 million. That's great, alhamdulillah. But when them taxes hit, what we did for them is we could tell the trajectory of where they were going. So they actually paid quarterly taxes. So it was scary every quarter them paying that money. But in the long run, they weren't paying that lump sum of money all at one time that, they weren't used to. These businesses were making, $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 before 2020. Right. So now to make $1 million, or more in 2020, this is the first time that they're paying that, larger, tax bill. And, when we spoke to the accountant, so we set all of this up for them. We set up payroll, we set up, just the accountants, everything like that. We got them from, you mentioned the shoebox earlier. We got them from leaving their receipts in the shoebox. And I do have to raise my hand because my ex-husband and I, when we first started out in business over 20 years ago, we were using that shoebox. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, we came up to to the accountant with plastic. Me, I was neat with mine. It was in the shoebox, but I was neat with mine. I had it separated January through December inside a little plastic bag. He's in the shoebox. And we rolled up. We were like, hey, here we go. We have everything. And he was like, I don't know what y'all are on, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you the program, and I won't give away the programs because I want you guys to give away, the tools, but I'm going to give you the program that I'm going to need you to use. So every quarter, I know exactly how much money you're making, and you don't roll up with this shoebox. Okay. Whatever you scanned into this system that I gave you, that's what I'm counting. If you got any receipts in the shoebox, you just got to deal with it. All right. So I raised my hand. I was a shoeboxer.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add from like a personal standpoint, because I think it also connects to what Sharima said. I think what people do is that, they have a good, I'll connect it back to budgeting, but they may have a good month or whatever it may be and see, oh, I got a little bit of extra money, instead of thinking, okay, I need to put that money away to savings, or not necessarily like invest or anything yet, because that's a whole different conversation for another day, but just putting it away into a savings account, or keeping it away or putting it into your emergency fund, which is so important to establish, as Sharima said in the beginning, putting it into that emergency fund. They think, you know what, I have extra money now. I can go and buy this and that and this or that, whatever it may be, right? So I think, and also another thing is that people are not honest with themselves when it comes to their budget. So that's why you have to go back to the beginning of really reviewing your expense trackers and organizing your finances to ensure that the numbers are there, right? If it becomes so overwhelming for you, get a buddy, get an accountability partner, someone who has knowledge around their own personal finances or budgeting. Or if you have a little bit of money, that little bit of money you had at the end of the month, invest in a financial planner or whatever it may be, right? Because investing in that is investing in yourself, right? So just be real about your numbers, and just because you have extra money does not mean you need to go and spend that.
This question for you, Sharima. So a person is, they just started their LLC. They have a clean slate. So we love people that have a clean slate, because we can really, work with them so that they don't get into all of the trouble, right? So a person who's just starting out, what is one thing that you think that they should put into place to help them when it comes to, reporting their, taxes, expenses, income, all that good kind of stuff?
I think that the best and easiest thing, if you want to track your business expenses, I would download QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's a nice little app. It is not, it's a lot more user-friendly than the regular QuickBooks. It also, at the end of the year, links to TurboTax. So you go in, you can connect it to your bank account, credit card, you can connect it to your PayPal account simultaneously. The transactions move over there, and you just go in and just check, or I think it's a drop down maybe. There's a drop down that says business, and there's a drop down and it says business and personal, and you can add categories to that. For all of your business stuff, just drop down, add business. You can take a picture of your receipt, so you are eliminating the shoebox, because receipts also fade. So, if you got receipt from January that's in the shoebox or the freezer bag, they might fade. So take a picture of the receipt, mark it as business, like takes 2 seconds, and let it be that your end of the year would be a lot easier. You could, run some reports on there. You can also, not that a lot of people are, out and about, but you can track mileage on QuickBooks Online as well. So if, an example I'll use, when I first got QuickBooks Self-Employed, I was going to DC for something. I went in the app, put my home address in, put the address into the hotel I was going to. It calculated it on its own, and it saved it there. So at the end of the year, my mileage number is already there. Mileage is also one of the most red flag things to the IRS. So never overstate your mileage, have some backup for it. QuickBooks Self-Employed, I would definitely recommend, if you are just setting up your LLC, download it, connect your bank to it. Even if you go in once a month, every other month, and just look at it, check stuff off, and save it for when you want to go back and look at where your money went.
That was great, Sharima. I really appreciate that. We had the audience just ask that. I was playing it in the background. I was on mute. But yeah, so they asked about that, what the name of the app was. So QuickBooks, I do use that. Most of the businesses that we have do use it. There's a free version up to some of the that you can use to start out. So that was one of the questions. How much does it cost? And then the price kind of goes up from there based on the things that you need, right? So you can get training. They do training for QuickBooks for you. They offer all kinds of services. So what I would say is to start with the free version, and then as you need things, start to add them on. So one of the things that someone asked while you were talking, Sharima, it will grow with you as your business grows. It will grow with you. So it has like what's the word I'm looking for? It has categories as you grow, right? So you can start to add on. I think Sharima said that.
And if
you
have, that is a great point, because it really does grow with you. If you have an accountant, your accountant can connect to your QuickBooks account and kind of help you out from there. The other point I just wanted to add is, if you are using TurboTax to file your 2020 return, and you have Walida would know the schedule for self-employment. But if you have any self-employment income or expenses, or you put your business on your tax return, it offers QuickBooks Self-Employed to you for free. I'm not sure if it's for a year, but it offers it to you for free for at least a few months.
You're talking about a Schedule C. Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. So Walida, I wanna ask you the same thing. What's a resource that we can give to the women that are just getting started? I think one of the questions that really prompted us, we were like, oh, we have to get someone on here to help us with this, is that just being unsure, not being confident with their money, in their business. What's a resource that you would give to someone who is just starting out? They're getting into QuickBooks. What else can they use?
Well, I think it all depends too, because it all depends what industry that you're in. I know for there's a list of if you go, there are apps. They're on the QuickBooks itself. They have apps that you can actually use to integrate in your workflow. I think that when you think of workflows, you have to think about what it is that you're doing in your business. Like MailChimp works, keeping track of, your clients, any type of CRM software, customer relations, management software. They have Zoho, right? They have HubSpot. I will say this, when you're a startup, IRS allows you to write off like $5,000 for startup costs. Use them. Do it wisely. So you write off your registration costs and stuff like that. But then, those apps that you're using, you have subscriptions to. Okay, so for instance, Canva, people don't know. Yes, you can write off that too. Yeah, Canva, Zoom, these are things that if you need them in your business, and they're ordinary and they're necessary. Ordinary meaning like to your industry. So we know if it's something that without it, you couldn't survive. Like your business couldn't really thrive. It's ordinary and necessary as well. So it's always that you use this in your industry, and it's very necessary. These are expenses. So you want to look for those kinds of things. That's why I don't want to just say anything. You know, you have to. It's very industry specific, because when you go to do your taxes and they're asking you for your NIEX code and stuff like that, that's because they're about to put you in a category and say, oh, she said that she owns a salon, but she's over here buying computers. What's up with that? You know, so they gotta be able to track you in some kind of way. So just be aware of what is standard in your industry. You could go to Bureau. I'm sorry. You probably know what I'm talking about. There are different sites you can go to
like
know
small business.
Right. To know the
Yes.
SBA, to know
Yep.
the industry standards, because you really need to know that. You know, I think I didn't take business that serious until I really started getting to taxes. Because what it comes down to is your business structure and your taxes. End of the day, I'll be honest with you. You can do all the good stuff you do. You're the greatest this and that thing you do. But it comes down to the structure that you're in and the taxes that are a consequence of the structure that you built. So if that makes sense. So yeah. Okay. Did I say what I was supposed to say? Because I can
Yes,
be
darling. Yes,
here.
darling. Yes, darling. Sadio, what is a maybe a personal financing app that you would recommend to get started?
I would recommend You Need a Budget, YNAB. It's very simple to use. I think they have like, I think they give you a 14-day trial to kind of like test it out. There are a lot of YouTube videos on it just to show you how to use it. If you're not really, again, if you're not like a digital minded person, because it's kind of like Excel format again, you would just have to input your budget categories, your fixed expenses, your variables, saving. And what it does is it does connect to your banking account. So I would double check on that. I am in Canada. I found it a little bit difficult to use only because of my security settings for my banking, because every night it would do some sort of system cleanup or something. And then I would constantly get security messages. But I think as a beginner, it's something good to kind of play around with. But I would also add another resource before you even get into using apps is Clever Girl Finance has amazing free resources. The website has, wow, it's amazing. You're literally, if you're a studious person, like you just love learning, reading, this course, that course, finish it. It's amazing. Get on there, learn about your finances and your personal journey. It starts you from A and takes you all the way to Z. It's really great. And everything is free, printables free. And I believe she wrote a book, which I did start reading in January. I'm almost finished reading it. Again, it's called Clever Girl Finance. But clevergirlfinance.com, get in there and just, that's where your learning begins. But as an app, you can use You Need a Budget. And we all need a budget.
Clever Girl Finance also has a podcast. And she's awesome.
MashaAllah. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I pray that you guys are finding benefit. Please feel free again to post any comments that you have on Facebook. We can see them and we will address them as we continue to go through this. So we want to ask you guys, there's people who are thinking about starting a nonprofit, people who have their own, self-employed business, but they're wondering what is the difference when it comes to tax reporting, when it comes to an LLC, an S Corp, or a nonprofit? Is there any piece of advice you could give them, as well as kind of like a difference between all of them when it comes to tax time?
Okay, you want me to speak about that? Okay, so if you want to start a business making cupcakes, and you want to make it for the neighborhood, the masjids, and sole proprietorship, if you're kind of like, you're doing your thing in the kitchen. If you want to get serious, and really go into maybe a commercial space, you got ovens going on, you're hiring a whole team, and all this is going down. S Corp. Then if you're trying to go really, 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 really big, corporation. Okay, so I'm just making it real simple. Because what people do sometimes, the IRS, they also want to know, are you really operating a business or just an expensive hobby? So you've got to really make that, decision. You got to really, am I doing this? Because, they're going to be looking at this. How are you writing off your expenses? Are you, are you consistent with your, they'll say this first. They'll allow you 1 to 3 years to show a loss in your new business. So you got to be really, really watching that. So if you notice that year and a half, you've been making cupcakes, everybody likes them, but you haven't like maybe bought this new, bought like better, more equipment, or you haven't like tried different things, you haven't stepped out of the small neighborhood that you're in. This is important because it just means that you're just kind of like, yeah, expensive hobby. It's the truth. I don't want to make it sound like it's nothing, but that's what it is. Okay. Now, is there a difference between sole proprietorship and LLC? Yes and no. Because some people think that, oh, I got my LLC, so I'm legit. You was legit when you had the sole proprietorship too. You was legit. Okay. But it was all on how you, when you went to go register that business, the difference between the sole proprietorship, just like you go and get a doing business as just your name and doing your thing, and then the LLC is that as the LLC, it's a disregarded entity. It is, but it is something that can be looked at as separate. It can. Tax-wise, they're all going with your 1040 individual tax return with a Schedule C. Unless you have your rental properties, you're just real estate investor, then it's a Schedule E. All these things come right into the software you use. They'll pull them out for you. Now the LLC, what's unique about it, you can elect to be taxed and treated as an S corp, a partnership, or a C corp. So that's the good thing about it. When you're in an LLC, you can decide that. So you're still your LLC, single member if you want it. Now, if you want to be treated as the S corp, you would have to elect for that first 2 months and 15 days of the year, March 15. They always get cute with that. It's just March 15. You elect to be an S corp. 2553 is the form you got to sign. Once you elect it, 5 years you got to stay there with that election that you made. And what happens is with an S corp, the actual S corp doesn't pay federal taxes. So the profits that are made and whatever agreement you had with how you're going to share profits, that all goes to each individual shareholder in the business, okay? On a K1. It's called a Schedule K1. And so you're going to take your K1. So say we're all in here, all of us speaking. Say Amber she started the S corp. We're all on it with her. Okay. So the S corp has money, profits. But whatever your share was through maybe your investment, maybe you invested something in the company, maybe you brought some assets in, that's how you got in. Each one of us will get our own K1. We take that, it will follow with our 1040. That's it. So some people think it's more, but it is.
I'm
Okay.
glad you said that because the whole idea of LLC and then moving sole proprietorship, then moving to an LLC, and then possibly moving to an S corp. Like literally, we went through this scenario. So when we figured out by February, during this pandemic, we figured out the trajectory of the business. These businesses were going to hit $1 million. We hit those accountants, and we were like, they S corp. Right? Because of exactly what you just said, that benefit, so their tax liability is going to be lower, and, they'll be able to get, all kinds of different, tax breaks because they're an S corp versus an LLC or versus, a sole proprietorship, if that's, your scenario. So it's making sure that you get help. I think, what I'm liking about this conversation and why we brought, experts on is, okay, I can tell you my personal experience. Amber can tell you her personal experience, but then now we're with 3 women that have seen more than the scenarios that we've seen, and they're doing this on a day in and day out basis, and they can give you a little bit more insight. So we're so appreciative of this. There was a question. Oh, the last question is actually to the audience, and you three ladies can also chime in. And it's, what is stopping you from starting where you are at right now? So what's stopping you from balancing your business finances like right now? So we would love to open this up to the chat. Maybe while we're waiting for them to respond in the chat, maybe one of you ladies would like to go back, when you were beginning this journey. What was stopping you, from balancing your finances in the beginning?
I guess I'll start. I think for me, there was a lot of shame that was attached to the way that I was maybe handling the money, or what my relationship situation was, or where I was at that point in my life. So for me, it was like shame attached to having to take a student loan, which, you see other people who don't necessarily need a student loan, or the way I was managing money, because I just wanted to give my daughter something so much different than probably what I saw, right? Or didn't want her to see what I saw, kind of, right? So I just want to tell any of this. Sorry, I think I'm having internet connection issues. But yeah, I think for me personally, it was the shame, and I really had to let go of it. And once I've let go of it, I found it a lot easier to find a suitable journey for myself. Because again, I just want to reiterate, it's very personal, and it is definitely a reflection of you, of where you're at. So if there's a lot of shame, a lot of anger, a lot of disappointment attached to it, your personal finance is going to show that too. So you kind of have to change your mindset. The mindset is very important.
Walida, Sharima?
I'll go.
Bring me quiet over there, girl. Go ahead.
For me, I was loosely doing it before, but what seemed overwhelming to me and buckling down on it was so much in my life had been constantly changing. So me and my husband both had jobs and businesses and kids, and we traveled a lot, and things like 2 kids, and things always seem to be changing. That, and I don't like looking at my student loan debt number, and it frustrates me. But so for other people, that might be your credit card, number, or like whatever. Just seems like I cannot believe, every time I look at my student loan balance, I'm like, why did it cost this much to go to school? So that was like the deterrent for me. But when I started budgeting, and I'll just quickly tell my story of why I started budgeting, but I was working at a job part-time doing accounting, and then I was also doing my business, and the job offered me full-time, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do full-time. And I drove there one day, made dua on it, and something said, Allah said, it's not, no, don't take the full-time. So I didn't take the full-time, and I started 2020 with a slightly profitable, expensive hobby. So I was like, oh, what do I do? Like, and then I started like, okay, we got to make this expensive hobby a business, or we have to, find some accounting clients. And, I just chose a different path, and started budgeting. And when I started budgeting, realized that every month things are going to change. Like, it's okay for things to change. Every month since January 2020, when I started budgeting, I've changed line items. I've added line items. I took some away. I stopped throwing things in miscellaneous and put them where they're supposed to be. I've just done things differently and was okay with things changing. So when you plan for the change, when you plan for, okay, we're not going to go out to eat this much. Okay, last month my son had a birthday and we started a business for him. So it was like, okay, so you put this here. I want to take a vacation, so put this here. Planning for the change helps a lot more than just being scared to say, well, I don't know. Just be comfortable in not knowing.
It's so awesome that you brought that up, because one of the comments, in the chat was the lack of information and not enough researching. And so, just speaking of, the planning, like, just turning this, I think, so someone talked about culture. So I want to bring this question back up, talked about culture. So culture from possibly where we come from, and then also there's a religious element as well, with regards to money. And they may go hand in hand, in some cases, but like you said, I don't want to see my student loan debt, but it's in facing the fear that we'll be able to change these things. And so that's what you guys have, enacted, your husband and yourself and your family, you've enacted, okay, we're going to face this because we do want to do these things. So we have to start to do, something about it. So if we could just talk maybe a little bit about like the cultural side, like, the culture and the religious side, because, there's certain things that we think about money depending on where we come from, and just, most of us are either Muslims or women of faith that will engage with this call. And there's just we have this negative connotation of money. Money is evil, right? So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, money. I could say that it's weird because I didn't have that negative thought about money growing up. I come from like a line of teachers and insurance agents and stuff like that. So I didn't see, I guess I was on the other side of it, taking it for granted. Like, oh, I'm just going to go to school. I'm going to have my degree. I'm going to have my money. I'm not going to have any worry in the world. And it's kind of emotional because I didn't realize it until I had gotten married. And like everything changed. Every single thing changed. And I thought that I struggled because of the mindset. Like I didn't struggle because I didn't know what to do. I struggled because now I had to see something with a different lens. Like, well, he's my ex-husband now, but we were young, getting, had our children, and I'm just this ambitious young girl, like, hey, let's do this. And I was in school, and then it didn't seem like that's either what he wanted or he didn't know what he wanted. And then I became like, I felt like this like person trying to help somebody to get to bring the potential out of them. And we did, and it's a journey of a little bit of suffering or a whole lot of suffering. Being evicted, I've lived in shelters, I've lived in cars, I've lived in hotels with my kids. Those things will do something to you. And they will make you look at money in ways that you probably never even thought about money. And for me, it was very emotional. I didn't even tell my family that what I was going through. They never knew that my kid, like we were hungry. They didn't know any of this. And I didn't tell them because I'm like, well, I'm not telling them I have money. What do you mean I have money? And just asking for like $20 to buy something, I would not even ask them. So I just think that for me, it just was like that, the flip of it, taking it for granted and coming to see the other side. And really, I'm gonna be very honest with y'all, I'm just now coming up out of that whole space because I had to do a lot of healing and all that. And now I understand, like, money does what you tell it to do. Believe it. It's just energy. It does exactly what you tell it to do. That's all I want to say, and I'm done.
No, you bring up such a powerful point. Money is a tool. Money is a tool. And when you look at it as a tool, even from a cultural or from a religious standpoint, it doesn't hold the power that it does when you make it your Kaaba. We had this conversation. When you make money your Kaaba, right? And you make it the thing that your entire life revolves around, then you're in like this, astaghfirullah place, right? but when you use it as a tool, for giving to charity, for providing for your family, for taking those vacations, and for it to facilitate your life here in the dunya, and also to facilitate your life in the akhirah, then it's a positive thing, and it becomes this positive thing. So I appreciate you for bringing that up. And I think it's so incredible what you said, Walida, because I went through some of the same challenges, and I went through some of the same challenges as a woman, that 6 figures, like, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, I come from a finance, marketing, and sales background. Like, I shouldn't have these issues, right? So, yeah, it's sis, okay. I get it. So I'm glad that we were able to have these types of conversations, because someone else may be going through just the same thing, and not having that shame that Sister Sadio talked about. That's huge. People of color, also Muslim people, having that shame to not even ask for help, right? And also to admit, you know what I mean? I've got this degree. I have a background in a field that shame, right? That I shouldn't be in this situation. So yeah, so thankful for this. Anything else you want to add, Amber? Anyone from the audience that would like to add, inshallah?
I want to bring it full circle and really talk about what we said at the beginning about the intention, and being very intentional with the things that we're doing with our money and the things that we want to do with our money. So we call the, Build Your Boss Biz in 90 Days for Profit and Impact for a reason. So we've taken you through, what impact are you wanting to make with this? And challenging yourself to look at your debt, to look at your student loans or whatever you have going on, and writing it out, but turning that negative into a positive. What would it look like if you were to get that number in the positive, and how are you going to use that, save that, and invest in yourself for you and your families, inshallah. And I just want to say, like, I'm really excited because these sisters that are on here, they have an opportunity to have that investment at the end of this challenge. So $1,500 at the end of this, practicing your pitch and doing what you can, being very intentional with what it is that is to come and that could come, and thinking of that as that energy that we talked about, as that abundance, as that support, as women of faith, for your intention of what you want to do, who you want to serve, and how to serve them. So you're not just going to get that and invest in something, right? It's how can you divide that $1,500 and already believe that that is meant for you. That's what we really want you guys to understand and believe, because we've worked through a ton of mindset stuff, but this finance portion, it goes hand in hand with that mindset. Is you have to know that you're worthy of it first and foremost, and that where is it going.
Yeah, that's really huge. Begin planning for it. Like, the way that you manifest something is you start to move towards it. I love the story of Hajar, right? So the story of her, like, you literally, like, her story, you can apply it to so many different areas. But she didn't just have the faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She understood that there was something that she needed to do in order to change her situation, and she needed to move towards something. So her running back and forth between Safa and Marwa, right, was her understanding that there was something that she had to do, not to assist Allah or anything like that, but to assist herself, to have that uprightness, for herself. She could have just as easily have prayed for her sustenance in the desert with her baby, right? And Allah would have sent help, right? But she knew that, from her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that she had to do something for herself. And so, one of the things, I pray that we take away from this conversation is that we have to start planning now. We have to, start with the budget, as Sister Sadio said, an app, you know what I mean? Also, no shoe boxes. Right. So we're not doing shoe boxes. Don't do the Halima either with the plastic baggies. OK, Ziploc bags. Stop it. Right. So we're not doing, any of that, and really just, preparing for it. And, Amber brought up an amazing point, and this speaks to people who, kind of get rich overnight. There was a girl that was on Instagram. I forget what kind of products she was selling. I think it was like hair or something like that. This was the year before, 2019, Black Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Beyonce had like reposted her or something like that. And from that repost from Beyonce, she became a millionaire overnight. What I would be interested in finding out is, has she been able to either sustain that or increase it? And I'll tell you why. So they say with athletes, singers and people like that who become overnight successes, after their time in the limelight is over, they have like $0. Dollars to show for it, because they didn't prepare. They didn't have a team of advisors, financial planners. They didn't have any of that beforehand to prepare their mindset for, hey, this money is about to come. So the point that Amber is bringing up, and just to make it make sense, right, is $1,500 is on the table for 37 women to be able to pitch their business and possibly, get that, grant, that $1,500 business grant for their business. How are you preparing to receive it? Is your plan solid? Are your current finances, in place to receive it? Or when you receive that $1,500, it's not even going to go towards the business. It's going to go to that bill that's, foot on neck. If you don't pay this bill, the lights are off. If you don't pay this bill, we're not going to have a home. Is that where we are? How are we going to use the $1,500? Or are we going to use it to invest in our business and, multiply our income? So I appreciate that so much, Amber, for bringing that up. And I appreciate all of you ladies, Jazakallah khair, for this. We have put your...
make a quick point.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to circle back a little bit on the culture piece, because as African Americans, we're often not in an abundance mindset, just from circumstance, from how we were raised. It's generations on generations of work, grind. And some of our parents or our environments are work harder and not smarter. So and just to piggyback even off the story of Hagar, and like, Allah is our Razak. He is the provider for you, and trusting in that, and working, and you do have to do your part. But I know for me, it took probably up until this year to be in that abundance mindset and to believe that you can make $1 million in your business. That's not far-fetched. Like, that's I actually put a tweet on my Instagram stories today that said, like, this is the easiest time to become a millionaire, because it truly is. There are people that are, selling products and scaling and getting into big retailers that are selling their knowledge. There are, coaches that just are great at motivating people, or have some specific, expertise that you can scale, especially in the age of social media and everything. So I'm sure with the Bossy Jabbies, like, you guys talk about mindset a lot, but that abundance mindset is so real. And like, when you really believe in it, you will be shocked what Allah blesses you with.
Can I just say 3 things, just 3, to the women who are listening in and who are starting their journey with their business. The first thing I want to say is, start where you are. Start where you are. The second thing I want to say is, why not me? Because a lot of times I think we have this thing on ourselves. Well, I don't know. You said $1,500. So people probably like, oh, I don't know about that. I don't think I can do that. Why not me? And then the last thing I want to say to you is, if not now, then when? That's all I want to say.
Listen, that was powerful. Okay. On that note, we can head on out of here. Sharima, Walida, Sadio, like you blessed us, this evening. And what I love about this whole Boss Hijabi, just platform that we have created is that it mixes the faith and the finances together. And it showcases that although we are women of faith, and yes, we're pious, and yes, we're humble, we can still get that dough. Okay. Yes, exactly. All right. So, with this conversation, they gave you some amazing points. Be sure to go back, in the group, replay it as many times as you need to. They also gave you some confidence boosters, like be confident, bi'idhnillah, that you can actually succeed, right? You can make $1 million in your business. Let me tell you something. The whole e-commerce, industry, 2020 moved the entire e-commerce industry ahead, not 2, not 4, not 6, but 8 years ahead. 2020, just 2020 moved e-commerce business ahead 8 years, meaning that all of the steps that we would have had to take, in the next 8 years, we've bypassed those. We're on a whole nother level, right? How are you going to respond to that? Maybe you guys, as financial advisors, like you are like, go find the millionaires. Go find the millionaires, and with your consultant services, hey, my consultant fee to make sure that you save the money, to make sure that you're prepared for tax season, I'm going to save you $30,000 in, what is it called? $30,000 in like fees that IRS tax on. Somebody help me here. But whatever, penalties. Penalties. I'm going to save you 30 grand in penalties, all right? But you're going to pay me 15. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to pay me 15 grand to make sure your money's straight. So I'm really saving you 15, but we don't got to talk about that in the upfront conversation. But anyway, I'm going to save you $30,000. But anyway, so, just believe that it's, possible. And they said, Jazakallah khair, everybody. So yes, we appreciate you. Inshallah, we can have you guys again on at another time. We have a couple of things that are coming up, inshallah. We have the Ramadan revival for Ramadan, right? And we have a business conference, inshallah, that we'll be putting on in the summertime. So would love to have you guys, come back and participate in some type of way, inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. Peace, everybody. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.